the show last night.
Awesome. Straight Avenue Podcast, guys. This is like gonna be a different kind of show, right? Season 2, episode 2. We are doing it big this season, as I promised. I think you can just see that there's a change
different
energy, right? Different vibe going on, right? Q, what's happening? You good, bro?
I'm good, bro. What's crack-a-lacking? You all straight?
Man.
I'm awesome.
I'm not even gonna go there just yet because I think we need to set the stage. You know what I mean? This man doesn't get his flowers. You know what I mean? And I think we need to give him his spot today, give him his kudos, and jump into some interesting stuff that probably people don't ask him. You know what I mean? So thank you for coming through, bro. We appreciate it. We got Nota in the building. You know what I'm saying? We got the main man who's graced the show.
You know, the weirdest thing that I've ever seen, on a podcast is, they were like, our guest is a surprise. Hold on, we won't even tell you who our guest is. I don't know, some podcast from Harare. They had Tish Matez.
Yes.
Zotwa. And then they're introducing that, hold on, they said, and I'm like, hold on, but this person is in the title of the video. We're watching on YouTube.
We're seeing
it, make an anticipation of how you're going to introduce. Don't say, we've got a surprise.
No, it can't be. I think it's one of those things where as
podcast, it's a radio.
Right? They have a radio mentality.
Yeah, it's people can't see us and everything else. And even on that show, I saw Tish Matez. When you used to do radio interviews and you go to some small town, you know what I mean? And you can say whatever in that small town, no one will hear. So he's like, I had 25 cars in South Africa. I'm like, what?
My man.
The only person who said 25 cars in South Africa is Mugabe himself. When he came here with a gigantic motorcade,
right?
That's the only person who said 25 cars in South Africa.
Tish Matez.
Not Tish Matez. Or maybe Barack Obama when he came,
You know what I mean?
Or Gaddafi maybe. Yeah.
Sheesh,
but
not Tish Matez.
Yeah, I was like,
Tish Matez is gonna watch this and it's like, no,
he threw himself under the bus. On this medium, I need to, I've been media training people. Every time I've been going to a podcast, it's I basically set the tone for anyone who will watch.
Right.
For when they'll become a guest next time they go on the I just see how people have been,
This is the thing for me with podcasts. I think the idea is you're not trying to bring radio to podcasting, right? No. It's a totally different lane. You know what I mean?
You're just trying to have a conversation.
So don't, this is what, you know what I'm saying?
It's a surprise.
Keep it simple.
Let's have a conversation. Let it flow, you know what I mean? Banter,
Exactly.
And another thing is also.
Yeah.
I think what men haven't told the world is that podcasts are our therapy. They say men don't talk, men don't men talk all the time, you know what I mean?
Exactly, in private, we never...
it's not you know what I mean? It's this whole entire narrative, men need to speak, they need to talk to each other. What do you think we're doing at the pub? What do you think we're doing when you guys are not there?
Right, that is the whole...
You know what? Nota, you just touched on something that's really crucial. I think it's very important to understand that men have forum. And so the pub is a forum. Just like before, it would be a circle around the fire. And that's where we become vulnerable. And that's where we express whatever it is we're going through. It's just that it's been painted to be, no, that's a place where you plan mischief. And so it's kind of
why would you be planning mischief out in the open like that?
Do you know what I mean?
You know what I mean?
Yeah. When a man gets up to mischief, he's by himself.
True story. True story.
Usually that's the case.
Because if you're getting up to mischief, you don't want to implicate your friends as well.
anyone.
Now your friends need to now be implicated by,
Yeah, and your friends are gonna then be persona non grata in your home. So you never.
It's like, that's the thing. You don't want to add those issues.
Bro, I think Nota actually is a good point because the homie always gets the bad rep, right? When the homie's like, let's go hang out. It's like, mischief. It's like, no, therapy.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? It's like, exactly, because your partner is not like your friend. You can't just tell your partner anything, but they'll take it personally. Bro. You know what I mean? With your friends, you can swear at each other. You can swear at each other.
Yeah, and just say it like it is.
You know what I mean?
Fact.
And then the next week, you guys are chilling in the hour.
No, like we've been talking. It's actually a very important point.
I mean? So like men get a bad rap. Yeah. I think the issue is this, right? Men have been excluded from the social discourse about, the dispossessed parties in how this world has, basically materialized. You know what I mean? Like as black men.
It's a big thing, bro. Like, I mean, I get a lot of stuff happens where it's like, okay, why are men not talking, or men need to talk, or we start talking about mental health and all those things, right? But it's like, men talk. It's just that we talk amongst ourselves.
No, it's just that, society has decided not to address the post-traumatic stress that black men have. Just imagine, like your own father, right?
Yeah.
Your own father, as a black man, his potential in life was kept by a limit of his black skin, by the fact that institutions are run by white men who've got a monopoly on violence.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, in a big way.
Like your father could be walking in the streets and be flogged by a white man.
Sheesh.
And come home and not be able to do anything about that. So, you know what I mean? Like, that is like traumatic. So like, how can you be then expected to defend your household and provide security and safety, which is what is expected of you as a man, right? You're supposed to provide security and safety, but you're not safe. You're not secure. If you look at the crime stats, right? There's like 7,000 murders in the last 3 months, and 6,000 of them have happened to black men, amongst black men.
Facts.
You know what I mean? So,
sheesh, bro, it's crazy. Like,
there's no acknowledgement that there's a pandemic of death of black men. I mean, look at between the ages of 15 and 25. That's when a whole lot of black men die. How many black men die in that age group?
Bro, but you know the thing is,
in fact, all men. Yeah. All men in that age group, a lot of them die. But black men, especially the pressure that you have, like in the world, like right now that we're like living like in relative freedom, is the first time as black men we can rise up the ranks and, maybe be bosses of white men.
You're onto something there. Look at, this is just a chart of the disproportionate, this is the suicide rates. Two things you'll notice. One, a disproportionate amount of suicide in South Africa. Because
black men.
By population, this is not even in the 20 biggest countries in the world. By population.
It's not.
But we are number 2 on suicide. Then the blue lines are men, the red are women. So in terms of ratios, it's 1:5. 5 men commit suicide versus 1 woman.
But like, no, hold on. Forget the ratio, right? The disproportionate ratio. If the men and women ratio in South Africa was almost equivalent, right? South Africa wouldn't even feature on that chart.
True enough.
The suicides in men in South Africa alone,
it's crazy.
Top 5, because the women's suicides even in South Africa is a negligible amount if you compare.
It's second only to Russia in the world, and that's how big is Russia compared to South Africa?
You understand what I'm saying?
In a country so small.
You understand what I'm saying? So, Russia has got like 6-hour time zones from one side to the other side. It's like double the
population.
Just in terms of width, in terms of time zones, it's like double the width of like Africa or North America. Because that's 3-hour time zones. You know what I mean? So,
what do you think? What do you think is the reason behind this?
I think part of what Nota has spoken
about, the trauma that we don't acknowledge.
That
as a society, we're not acknowledging this trauma, and then we still have an expectation on black men.
And then also what you've got is, remember, you're already disenfranchised, you're marginalized, but the expectation is not removed. You still must be the provider, but even the progressive system now will say the girl child gets the preferential entrance into college.
Everything, the media, that is the media that is on the TV, the kids, all they watch is girl child this, as boys, as little kids. They're watching the same TV.
Of course.
You understand? So everything is programming them to think that their lives are less valuable. Everything is programming our little boy children, black boy children, to think that their lives are less valuable and that they must sacrifice their lives for girl children. You know what I mean? Because girl children have been taken advantage of and everything else. But
which is true.
It's just black people were taken advantage of. In general, patriarchy is not a thing that exists in our society, because our societies, were very balanced in the roles in which we had for men and women, in our societies in general.
Sheesh, guys,
at the end of the day, we weren't going out there and conquering foreign lands and sending our men off, while women stay behind, and you know what I mean? We weren't doing that. We weren't like colonial masters. You look at an organization like NATO, it's an abbreviation for colonial. Because if you look at all those countries that are in NATO, they're all colonial masters. The British colonial masters, they lost a lot of their lands because the Second World War cost them so much money. They owed America so much money that they just said, okay, fine, America, you can have your troops influence in these places that were our former colonies, and we'll just give them up. So they sold off their lands. They sold off so much of their land that after a while, it came up, and then they said, hey, we have to abandon the gold standard. That's why the gold standard was abandoned in 1971. It's because, the British owed the Americans so much money, and the Americans also owed so much money because they'd borrowed out so much money that they said, let's abandon this whole entire system, and that's how fiat currencies came into play.
Sheesh. Okay, we're talking about two different things which are related. This is great.
No, we're talking about one thing. We're talking about the fact that white men, we're only talking about the decisions,
but it's one beast.
That's all I'm saying. These are all the decisions that are being made by white men. Meanwhile, all the buildings that are going up are black men's labor. Everything that we're talking about, everything that it results in, is the fact that the black man built that with his blood, sweat, and tears. Tears being the operative.
And then there's trauma that comes.
And we never speak about that trauma. We never acknowledge that trauma. And then we say we still have an expectation. It's like, the problem is this, there's a whole lot of problems. It's like, they cry about, like, I think what has happened to black society, right, is that, we had the missionaries first who sold us on like religion and faith and everything else, okay? So that justified our suffering. So even though we were suffering, the Bible says that if you suffer, you'll get heaven, and then you'll walk in streets of gold. So, So
you look at it.
So accept the suffering, right? South Africa is the most religious country in the world. How many more countries can you take advantage of the faith to do fraud, to be a false prophet, to,
Bro.
It's...
It is ridiculous.
In South Africa, that's your prime market.
It's a business.
Like, that's the best audience.
What disturbs me is so if you look at the Bible itself, not the missionary statements, not the, I'm going to call it the Catholic Church's statements, but if you look at the Bible itself, when it defines true religion, James 1:27, it says to take care of the fatherless, take care of the widowed. In other words, take care of one another. You have that already entrenched in African society. But
no more than in South Africa.
They never share those verses with you. What they share with you is the one where they're saying you're cursed. But even when you look at that verse, it's twisted because it says Canaan is cursed. It doesn't say that Ham is cursed, which Ham is the father of Cush, the father of Africa.
Right.
It never says he's cursed. It says Canaan. And the Canaan nations are the ones we know Israel wiped out in their Exodus.
Right.
And so that's got nothing to do with Africa.
Yeah.
Why then do we then use the Bible as justification for these atrocities? That's what I'm saying.
And it's one-sided. Like,
it's so single-sided.
That just shows you how successful the assimilation the missionaries had in South Africa. Now you must remember that South Africa was the last to be freed as well.
Yes,
so that's why it's the most religious. And then when it gets freed by whom? It gets freed by Peace, Truth and Reconciliation Commission, headed up by Archbishop Desmond Tutu. So basically, this religion has delivered us from the evil of apartheid and has now given us this freedom, and we should praise the Lord.
Man.
You know, so we're being programmed on mass media.
Bro, that's crazy. Yeah, there's no, even with reconciliation.
Yeah.
You have to address the root.
I mean, think about it.
Take things back to where they
But
were.
no, but the Bible says you must forgive.
Yes, but
So,
forgiving doesn't
yes, but who's running the thing? The Truth and Reconciliation Commission is the guy from the Bible, right?
That's what I'm saying.
It's the Archbishop. Like he's the highest bishop that a black bishop has ever been. They even raised him up so high, the colonial master, so that he can convince their subjects, their black subjects, that hey, they've even elevated me to Archbishop. Black child, it's possible.
Bro, it leads to what Logan was saying.
So your trauma as a black man, I mean, look, I made it. Right?
Right.
Hey, Desmond Tutu made it.
Yeah.
So therefore,
What's the problem?
all is forgiven. If Desmond Tutu can forgive, we can all forgive. We don't need to talk about your trauma.
I mean,
we don't need to talk about
all post-colonial countries are requested to reconcile, but Judaism never was requested. I mean, those guys hunted Nazi soldiers through to the early noughties when the last ones were dying in their 90s. Every single Nazi soldier, this is a 16-year-old who was conscripted into the army, trained to follow orders, didn't necessarily want to kill people, but had to for an army, was hunted down through till their dying day.
Right.
But here in Africa, you're asked to forgive. You're told that your brother was taken to Flag Plus. Electrodes were connected to his testicles, and the charge was run through it for hours before he was finally thrown off. And they call it, no, he jumped off, it was suicide. That's what you're told. And you're told you're meant to forgive that and walk away and look at that man and say, we've reconciled. That's what the TRC was.
And then what happens? That you suppress that anger. It's like a spring. It's like a coil. And then they wonder why we've got the violence that we've got in South Africa. It's because we're a country that's still at war. Black men are dying like it's a war zone in this country. Look at the stats. It's 40,000 of them dropping each and every single year. That's more men than men drop down each year in Afghanistan.
Gents, how do you relate that to the issue around, because we know like currently the main issue is equality and women and GBV and all of that, right? Which is a legitimate issue.
It's a legitimate issue, but it's not a pandemic. Why do they keep describing it as a pandemic? You understand what I'm saying? It's not killing as many people as COVID. We know what a pandemic is now by numbers, right? But male suicide kills over 1 million men a year.
But that's what I'm saying. Like we take that issue very serious, the GBV issue, right?
How many people have been killed by COVID so far? Has it been 1 million a year?
What it's pointing to is there's clearly an agenda for me behind the scenes, right? Which is pushing this. There's someone who's holding the strings around what we deem is important, what isn't.
Well, I mean, in black society, you know, the most, economically active in terms of retail activity group is the single black woman.
Right. I mean, and there's nothing wrong with empowering our women.
If you've got artificial intelligence that basically premises all media on advertising to that woman, you know, who knows if the artificial intelligence is also helping create that woman? Who knows if the content that they're being exposed to every time they go through on a TikTok is not some woman bash, some men trashing content. Oh, a man is this. Oh, a man is a loser. Oh, this. Oh, this. Every time it's a black woman that's making content, she's always trashing a man.
Nota is basically saying the things I want to say.
But how do we make it like better?
It's the algorithm. That's the you're not understanding that that's the algorithm. That's what she sees when she scrolls up and down on the dopamine
Yeah, because media is, it's an addiction, so that's a dopamine fix.
It's an endless.
So as she goes for a fix.
It's an endless scroll. That's what they designed. They designed an endless scroll.
With the like button.
You can stay here forever.
That's it.
There'll always be content served up to you. And more of that men-hating content.
Of course. And this is the kind of headline that you'll never see. This is IOL.
What is it saying? What is it saying?
It says that more women are buying homes than men. That's the new research here in South Africa.
You understand? Why are they buying homes?
Because you're disenfranchised. You don't qualify. You go to the bank, you don't qualify.
They're buying homes themselves because they're saying we're not waiting to get married and have a family. And you understand? Mm-hmm. Like, why is a single woman buying a home? Because that's a burden. Like, that's a financial burden. You're a single woman. Mm-hmm. You understand? Like, now you're going to be paying off a bond or a mortgage for however many years and everything else, You're trapping yourself to this place. You can't move. What if you get new skills? What if now there's a job opportunity in New Zealand? You've got a bond to pay in this country. You can't just leave the country because you got yourself a mortgage. These are decisions that people don't even think about.
But it talks to the independence aspect of a woman, right? Like,
I know, but that's the content that they're saying. More women are buying, so therefore, me as a woman, if I'm not buying a house, then
I feel like there's something wrong.
You understand? Because like more women is like I'm statistically like on the wrong side
of it. But we're not actually thinking about this thing logically, right? No, and I get what you're saying. It taps into that movie. There was a movie on Netflix that was talking about just like how we're being programmed. Like
yes, the social.
Yes.
The social whatever.
Yeah.
No, the social whatever. I forgot what it's called. The social dilemma.
Yes, right. And it's like the issues that we have.
But it's not just the social dilemma. That's the thing, is that you guys who just watch Netflix. Netflix is a surface level thing. Dog, you saw what happened with the Gupta leaks. There was a whole entire PR agency that was there, created to send a message of propaganda, white monopoly capital. They're still acting to this day. Those are the guys, this PTPT evaluator and all those guys. Those are the guys who caused the insurrection, the unrest, the July unrest. So it's propaganda campaigns, it's culture wars, and it's being waged. And that's why, every time it's the Men Are Trash campaign, so it's a whole entire social campaign that's being programmed to drive a wedge between black men and black women.
And it's usually black women and black men. If you
white
think about
women,
it.
what are white women complaining about?
When have you ever heard of a white woman complaining?
They can't complain.
When have you
Why? Because white men are taking care of everything. White men are taking care of everything. So who is the problem? Black men must be the problem then. Because white men are taking care of white women so well. White women have got nothing to complain about. In fact, they're out there chipping in on black women's issues. They're helping black women.
Sheesh.
They're out here helping black women have abortions. Why are black women having abortions?
That's fact.
When us as black families, there's no child that is not a blessing that we will not raise. That does not grow up.
It doesn't have
in
to
a loving household.
be your own child. It can be your relative's child. You raise it in a black home.
In a black home, we raise all our children.
Yeah, we
all
raise
of
everybody.
Them. So now you're gonna send abortion clinics to our townships?
Sheesh.
You understand?
But when we speak about that, right? It's.
You understand? That's what you're doing. At the same time, Mr. Bill Gates is out there trying to invent toilets that create energy. He's got like a pilot project that's happening in the. But at the same time, his foundation is funding this childbirth control and everything else, this population control stuff. Like, bro,
it's pathetic.
The song that's playing.
I know, bro.
So
we're gonna get into that. Yeah.
So that's the thing, is that Bill Gates, cool, and then when I talk about it on my Twitter timeline, I say, this Omicron is a result of gain of function research that's happened in South Africa. That's why the Omicron variant came from South Africa. And because of this gain of function, funded by Bill Gates, and this gain of function.
And Fauci knew about this. The Fauci emails confirmed.
And he knew about the gain of function research that was happening at the Wuhan factory. And that's why they burnt all of those files and they've incinerated them. But the gain of function that has happened in South Africa created the Omicron variant. And the Omicron variant basically is like a weaker variant that doesn't attack the lungs, that can be distributed faster than any vaccine can be distributed. And if you watched Bill Gates' latest statements, he has said, yes, the vaccine failure has been a problem, but the Omicron variant has acted in a similar way to a vaccine of sorts, because it gives one both the T cells and B cell antibodies.
Yeah,
that's what he said.
I remember that.
That's what Bill Gates said.
That's what they're pushing.
When I tweeted that in December, no one was allowed to retweet that. It was as if it was shadow banned. That tweet.
Misinformation. That's what they call it.
Yeah.
I didn't see. I was like, how? Everything I've just tweeted got a whole lot of retweets. That tweet, nobody.
Bro.
And I'm thinking to myself, okay, they're suppressing this whole entire story. And I'm like, they're really suppressing it. Like, dude, what is wrong with saying that South African scientists did gain-of-function research to create an Omicron variant of the COVID that helped us get to an endemic infection so that we could save millions of lives without having to vaccinate, because the pharmaceutical companies are keeping the patents away from the people that need them.
I heard that as well.
You understand? It's the same thing. It's like we've got a whole entire plan, but Moderna is not allowing people to get their patented technology. You know? So, you know, COVAX was a failure at the end of the day, because COVAX was saying, we'll pay as little as possible to get vaccines. And then the alternative was the other governments, the Western governments saying, we'll pay as much as possible to get as many options to get any vaccine.
Bro, these pharmaceuticals, man. Like,
Donald Trump said warp speed. He said, are you making a vaccine? How many billions do you need?
And then
say the loudest amount, the highest amount that you need.
Throw it in there.
You know what I mean? It's fine. You can keep the IP. You can just get us this vaccines.
But Trump is the bad cat in all of this, right? What is your take on that?
No, it's politics. It's politics.
Yeah, it's
politics.
Right?
It's politics. At the end of the day, the Democrats are the reason why Putin had to invade Ukraine. They've been pushing him. The longest time they've been pushing him. They've been pushing him, you know.
Because you're right.
Bill Clinton didn't do much pushing, right? George Bush came in, didn't do much pushing. As soon as Barack Obama came in, you know, the US did a whole lot of pushing.
You just need to look at during each presidency how many countries joined NATO.
Barack Obama reinforced NATO more than any other US president. And Barack Obama killed Gaddafi.
Hey, but
so I don't want to see a letter from Barack Obama telling us about how, because the slaves, our black brothers, are in concentration camps worse than the Nazi concentration camps. They are slaves right now in Libya because you killed Gaddafi. You understand what I'm saying? So I don't want to hear anything from Barack Obama condemning what is going on in Ukraine. That's some white people fighting amongst themselves and trying to lock our black brothers out as they flee the missiles. Because Poland doesn't want to accept any of the war refugees that are black.
But they're saying also, like with the Ukraine-Russia thing, right? It does impact Africa in a big way in terms
obviously
of oil, gas, and all of that.
Yeah,
and
but it impacts us in a good way as well. I mean, Russia is our biggest competitor as South Africa in terms of platinum group metals. You know, Zimbabwe benefits from like also having some platinum group metals as well. So Russia, the sanctions on Russia are going to benefit us. You know, it's going to help our fiscus even more. You know, resources prices are going to go up as well. So in
a way,
I like, you know, like they're trying to scare us into thinking, into supporting
whatever the thing for me is, who are these guys? You know what I mean?
It's that media. It's that media, and that's why we need to defend like the independent media, because the independent media is the only place where we can actually speak about things, and we're actually speaking about the real things, not like some false things. And look at this. It's just white men that are deciding this whole entire thing. And then us as black men, we have to adapt to everything that they're deciding.
Nota, quick question. do you support a unified Africa?
Yes, I do support a unified Africa. But also at the same time, I understand that we need to have our regions because there are regional needs that people cannot understand. You know what I mean? I support a federalism, like the United States of Africa. I support it fully. You understand? But I do believe that, we need to have certain regions where certain resources are divided amongst the certain regions. And then it's just a free trade area. And that's it.
Because they're saying that's what got Gaddafi killed, partly, right? Like, that he was pushing that agenda of...
You understand? That's the thing. And going back to the gold standard, that's what he was trying to push. You know what I mean? For Africa to go back to the gold standard. And now it's like, we're going to like cryptocurrency standard. And
the papacy would never allow a gold standard, man. They want a fractional reserve. It works for them. It works worldwide.
It works for them.
Exactly. The man works. It works for the man, for us to always have something that they have over us. See, Africa has all the resources.
Because when we were under gold standard, imagine how rich South Africa was.
Can you imagine that?
As a resource.
So what are we missing is the question. For me, it's like...
It's because they had to, they abandoned the gold standard, and that could help them remove all the gold through the companies that they own. And all the resources.
If you think about it, he's actually right. The biggest mines in Africa, we don't own them.
Listen, the biggest near surface and deep deposits for platinum are in South Africa. Second biggest near surface only is Zimbabwe. That's why platinum group of metals, you would have Zim and South Africa benefiting.
And then after that is Russia.
Exactly. Okay, here's an example of something that happened. This is the Hartley mine in Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
That's the biggest platinum mine in Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
As soon as Mugabe said, and listen to the percentage.
Yeah.
He said 15% should be local owned. BHP Billiton, Australia, said, no, we don't want that because that's not free market. And then as soon as Mugabe said, listen, this is our country, there's no African who owns mineral resources out in the West. And so we insist on 15.
Yeah.
You know what happened? On a Friday, everyone was at work.
Yeah.
Monday, when they arrived at work, the gates were closed. They said, we have a problem with the fissure. You don't research fissures in near surface mining. That's where those trucks go around in a spiral and create a cone. There's never going to be a need for you to have stable shafts. You're not doing deep mining like you do in South Africa.
Yeah.
But they gave that excuse. Thankfully, you had a South African who stepped to the plate. That's where Tokyo Sekwale with Mvela Panda then stepped in. So what you call Zimplats in Zimbabwe, the biggest mineral company, platinum mineral company, is actually owned by Implats, which is owned by Mvela Panda, by Tokyo. If that hadn't happened, what would have happened to all those jobs? So you and then, oh, by the way, then to destroy the reserves, there was a flooding. Look at 2004's platinum prices of the Russian reserves into the market. What does that do when you flood the market? You suppress prices. So it doesn't matter that you take over the resources in your country.
Yeah.
I then just decide that the price is low. But that's a bluff. Because if you decide, okay, sure, flood the market, we'll hold on. And you can be resilient enough to hold on.
Right.
They will eventually need it. They need cobalt for batteries right now. They need platinum for electronics right now. So the question is, are African leaders willing to play the long game?
The whole entire thing is this. African people, are we willing to benefit from, the hand that Russia has dealt? It benefits us. That's it.
Right now.
And our African governments need to do whatever it is that benefits us. Because that's where they get their votes.
Sheesh, because that's what puzzles me with African politics. It's like, we know what the issue is, right? Ownership for me is we don't own access resources, right?
So we need to play the Western powers
it's like,
against each other so that we can get some concessions.
We need people on both sides. Keep this thing going.
Right now, Russia is doing what it needs to do. Right now, Russia is doing what it needs to do. It benefits us. Don't worry. We'll supply you with all the resources that you need. The reason Russia is a gigantic country, that's why it's so resource rich.
Yes. But that's what I'm saying.
Russia had an agreement back in the day with De Beers to not sell its diamonds on the open market, to sell them through De Beers, because De Beers has a De Beers diamond monopoly throughout Namibia and South Africa. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. So Russia, basically made that concession, and that's because of a whole lot of old cousins that are relatives of each other. Because you must not forget that the Russian Federation, the Germanic people, and the British people are all cousins. They're all related.
Yes, of course. I mean,
yes, they're all cousins.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they're cousins from like, back in the day.
Back in the day. For me, it's like, obviously we don't support war generally, but I think in terms of where this, we need to identify the opportunities that are there now based on this, right? And I think it just needs, as for Africa, like let's take advantage of like corruption also. It's like,
at the end of the day, look, people don't understand how this world was formed. So these cousins, right? Their only competition was Napoleon. Yes. So Napoleon won military victories against these people, and that's why France has got a stake at the table. Against
they've been very vocal about this. Like
they're big power.
Yeah.
They're a big power amongst the other European powerful kingdoms.
Right.
These other kingdoms are smaller kingdoms. You know what I mean? So, the Germanic people, obviously the Queen, Germany, just like as a country, like, it's, traditional royalty was like, I mean, that's who the World War was fought for. The First World War,
Sheesh. I just think we just don't need a third world war.
We're already in the third world war.
We don't need guys.
We're already in the Third World War. It's been. We've been in it. The things that people don't understand. It's the Third World War. I mean, the next step is that China is now going to annex Taiwan. So crazy. Once China annexes Taiwan, but what's wrong with China annexing Taiwan? Why are people fighting for people getting their lands back?
But that's also
the Arabs want their lands back in Mozambique. Those are their ancestral lands. They were driven off by the Portuguese. They were the only ones who fought against the Portuguese. Everybody else ran and scattered. Ran and scattered.
I've actually never understood why that's an issue. Like,
they were driven all the way up. The Sultan, the Sultan's kingdom was there.
Jeez.
Those are their lands. Those are their ancestral lands. You know what I mean? Yeah. They were driven all the way up to Somalia. And that's what they're fighting for. They're fighting for their lands. They want control over their lands. Those are their lands.
And it's okay for everyone else, but it's like when we try to do it here, it's like...
No, it's just that there's a narrative that's driven against them. It's an insurgency, it's whatever. No. You guys who ran away from this land cannot inherit this land, all of it, and all its resources, and leave our people out of the riches of their lands that they actually fought for. Now that the Europeans have run away and given you some sort of settlement. So to the loser goes the spoils, not a chance.
Not gonna happen.
You understand? And that's why there's fighting in northern Mozambique. But now what is this fighting in northern Mozambique now bringing? It's bringing like kidnapping syndicates to South Africa and all those things, and the carjackings and everything else. It's like, all these problems, these regional problems, and what the Western powers are doing, they're pitching us against each other through what? Culture wars and misinformation. So you see this on CNN, there's an insurgency that's happening in Mozambique, Cabo Delgado. So you get told it's an insurgency. You don't even know that it's people that are looking for
and that's social media. That's the narrative he's talking about. Social media paints a narrative.
Like, everything. It's not just social media, it's mass media.
Mass media.
Before social media.
Yeah.
Now they've got competition because of social media. Because of podcasts, we've got competition now. You know what I mean?
So you are an advocate for podcasts in general?
Obviously. That's why I visit so many podcasts. A lot of people think that, oh no, why do you visit so many podcasts? It's not like you're having a conversation and that conversation needs to die out. You need to keep having these conversations.
Definitely.
Going.
You know what I mean? Especially, and if you're seeing that your algorithm is good, or the algorithm favors you, it's like every time you visit some place, it gets good numbers. You need to keep it up and keep switching up, because at the end of the day, the whole entire game benefits. Everybody benefits. You know what I mean?
Let's bring it closer home. Let's bring it to South Africa, to hip hop, to music, right? And in terms of the state of music. I actually had this question for you. I just want to get your take on it. Right? Do you think hip hop or just the entertainment industry in Africa or South Africa is doing enough to conscientize the youth around what's going on in terms of these conversations?
No, I don't think they can. And I don't think it's their job. I think we've learned from American hip hop that, as soon as money is involved and music is made for entertainment, it becomes very difficult to have, a strong political message. But we don't need that. We've got oratory culture since in history, and we've got podcasts now.
Okay. So in terms of, because
do we need it to be in the music when we can have a conversation about it?
I'm looking at it from a platform standpoint. Like whoever has the mic has the loudest voice.
People consume podcasts like they consume music. You understand? And that's it. And the more content there is, endless scroll. More people will consume. People will consume because there's more and more content. At the end of the day, why does your mother not have Apple Music subscription? Because the old traditional music that she listens to is not on Apple Music. But if it was all there, it'd be endless scroll for her.
Sheesh. So we definitely need more. In terms of just like the landscape, I think it's...
More. That's it. More episodes. Like if you had 100 episodes, someone would watch 100 of your episodes. They just end up scrolling.
Right.
They just go down the rabbit hole, the wormhole. You understand? So the more content we have, the more we, consumers we'll have.
Yeah, because we're so used to like...
And the more consumers we have, the more impact and the conversations get further,
Yeah, like, because I was just thinking about it from we need more of these conversations, because there's one side of it, which is mainstream media and all that, and they've got their agenda, right? But us, who are the consumers, we know what we need. We know what is actually going on. We're on the ground. We need more conversations around that, right?
Yeah, we don't get what is being controlled.
What is being controlled? Yeah, like, because that's the whole point. Like, life is very simple. You've got work, you've got day-to-day, you've got things that you deal with in society in your own capacity, and it's like, how do you then have conversations that touch on these different aspects that affect me on a daily? And I think that's what podcasts are there for as well. It's like targeting each and every aspect of right, and speaking what is actually real instead of being gullible to what you've been, told.
That's the whole entire thing. That once it's a discussion, we all contribute and we find like a certain line.
Because I was also on another note, because I know I was having a discussion with a lady this week, right, around the concept of submission, right, and it's like submission gets a very bad rep, right? Where it's like once you say submission, it's like whoa, like I'm willing to give you love, but I'm not willing to give you submission, right? And I was looking at it and saying, so why is it cute that people are so worried about the concept of submission? Like, I know we were having this discussion, some time back, but like, because I know you also referring to just like the biblical concept of the Bible says men should love their wives, right? And then women should submit.
The Bible is very clear. It's the way it puts it is not men make your wife submit to you. God talks to the person who's taking the action. Right. So if he says husbands love your wives like Jesus loved his church and died for it, he's saying men should be willing to die for their woman. That means once you're in the marriage, you should be willing to do anything, including give your life for the well-being of your wife.
Right.
If you can be that man to a woman, she'll find it very natural to submit to you. But if the world has worked you so that you can't be that, then she'll find it difficult to submit. But you don't make her submit, because the moment you try to make her submit, what you're doing is you're going to end up using violence, because first you use violence of thought, then violence of words, then violence of action. In all instances, you're bearing towards violence. So God never said men make wives submit, and then never said wives make your husbands love you. No.
Right.
So she doesn't have to get out of her way for you to be affectionate to her. You should naturally be affectionate to a woman. But we've been taught to be tough guys who don't show any affection to a woman. If you show her affection, show me a man who's shown his woman true affection and she hasn't yielded to him.
But that's a nice concept. That's a nice way to look at it. But
nah, yeah.
What do you think?
What I'm saying is that there's a war.
Right.
You can show these women affection. You can, dude. You can open the door for them. You can. You understand? But they are entitled, and they don't understand. But they're not understanding.
Yeah.
They don't empathize. They have got no. They can't empathize with a man.
Because
when last have you seen it trending on social media?
Yeah.
Women saying, "When my man gets home, I give him this massage."
It'll be like weak.
Like, this is the massage for when my man gets home from work. You understand?
Yeah.
But when he buys something,
Yeah.
oh yes,
he's the king. Like he's the.
so.
Fact.
But you don't celebrate the work that he puts in.
To buy that
You don't
thing.
acknowledge the sacrifices. You don't empathize with him. You don't even rub his shoulders. You don't even massage him when he's stressed.
You know what? The argument I got from a woman when I was talking about this, when I was talking to her, she's like, "Why is it because I have to love you as well? So why do I have to submit?" Because she says, because I was saying, like, biblically it says men love.
But that's the submission I'm talking about. The submission I'm talking about is not to say they need to bow to you.
Yeah,
No.
because the Bible
The
is not talking about a
submission
woman being
is
a
to
servant to you.
empathize
Yes.
with what you have to put up with to
Right.
provide the safety and the security which she is entitled to and which she demands for her to be by your side. Because women will tell you, I've got standards for a man.
Right.
A man needs to provide this. A man needs to
But if a man
provide
says
this. A
I have
man needs
standards
to.
for
I
a
need
woman,
this.
and if a man says, look, a woman will say no, he needs to be fit, he needs to be 6 feet tall. If a man says she needs to be slim,
It's not even about
it's
looks.
already.
Not even about looks.
Yeah.
Let's leave the looks thing.
No,
because
I wanna keep it at
understand
that shallow level
No,
and
hold on.
say-
You know what's the temptation?
Yeah.
The like when we're going on to YouTube and everything, we've got a very diverse audience.
Yeah.
So let us not give in to the temptation for them to think that the looks are the only thing that matter,
no.
right?
Right.
Because then it goes in, oh no, that now look at them, they're body shaming or what? You know what I mean?
But
That's the temptation.
I wanted to go to that body shaming to say if a man gives any quality in that instance, it's
Let's not
body
even
shaming.
go there.
But if it goes to a woman,
That's what I mean. I'm trying to avoid
I'm scared of it,
I
man.
know.
I'm scared of it.
Don't go to the body shaming thing because they'll always say that men have got different body standards than men. No,
Right,
let's
right.
not even go there.
Yeah.
Just talk about like in terms of emotional support. Like, you know what I mean? It's like what a woman expected to do in terms of emotional support for men at all. Like, what expectation do we have? Are they supposed to give you counsel? Are they supposed to be someone you can talk to? Are you supposed to be someone you can be vulnerable with? Because
Right,
let's say
yeah.
a close friend of yours dies and you want to sit on your balcony and just cry. And a woman now wants to come and you're like, no, I just want to sit on my balcony and cry. Now, because you just want to be alone in that moment, you don't want to have that moment with her. Now she'll have feelings about how you are. Now I can't even grieve in peace. So you know what happens with men?
Yeah.
You find a whole lot of parking lots and there's a car just parked there.
You just go in
And
there.
you don't even know why is there a car. There's a man inside that car crying.
or at the end of the day in the garage at home, 30 minutes before he gets into the house.
I can relate. Like it's
It's real. It is like
as
that.
men,
Yeah.
we're suppressed. We can't even have our emotions
motion.
around women. We're not even we're not allowed. We're not given a voice or anything else. We're not even allowed to have our emotions because if we are being emotional, it needs to be on her terms.
Yeah.
You don't talk to me. You never tell me when you're going through things. Because you're not the person I talk to about such things. You won't empathize. You won't understand. You understand? And there are also things that there's a risk that you might use this vulnerability against me.
That is so real.
You understand what I'm saying?
That is so
But the
real.
ladies don't want to hear this. Right?
And the thing is that you need to be careful as a man because they also say, yo, you don't know your partner until you meet in divorce court.
Yo,
You understand what I'm saying? So even if you're thinking that, okay, I can be vulnerable around my wife, you're thinking to yourself,
and then
if I say this, if I say I've got bipolar and I'm depressed, in the custody case, in the custody case for my kids one day, will I regret saying this?
Oh, that is so true, man.
I'm just saying. You never know. You understand what I'm saying? So now you're thinking, okay, no, I'm just being vulnerable. I'm telling her, and then all of a sudden, you're Kanye. You can't get your kids because they committed you to an institution. They took you out of the tour. Right? They said they took you to the hospital. They put you on the pills, and now you can't get custody of your kids because you're mentally ill. You've been declared mentally ill, and now you can't get custody of your kids, and now you're even acting erratic. Because you're frustrated because, you know, this life situation is a frustrating life situation. But what are you doing? Crazy. You're not medicated at this point in time. But we declared you ill. So he's not medicated. So this is the result of not medication.
Yeah. And it's not like this is the man who's losing his family. Dude, like, how are you going to be like clear-headed in that moment? Like, it's, you know what I mean?
You understand what I'm saying? Losing his family over what? Like, what's the reason? Because he said something that inflamed his wife. Why? Because his wife... Right, is unfortunately she's Kim Kardashian, and you know, for her, because women are hypergamous, right? Any man that she is with needs to be a man that can benefit her, right? Unfortunately, so every man she's been with has been a man that could benefit her, because women are now trained that you look for a man that can benefit you, right? So now the benefit has worn off, sort of. She's a billionaire.
He's a billionaire. Yeah, exactly.
You understand? She's got schemes. She's got these black kids, 4 beautiful black kids. So she can take advantage of the single black woman that is being marketed because they're trying to break up the black family.
True.
Trust me. Kim Kardashian's family is not immune to the breaking up of the black family.
It's what it is. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's it. She needs to be single. She needs to be on her own. She's doing it on her own. She's a billionaire. She wouldn't have been a billionaire without Kanye. You understand what I'm saying?
That is so true, bro.
As much as Skims is doing everything else, he did that for her. He did that for her, to put her on. You know, to style her, to give her the look, to make sure that Vogue takes her seriously, to make sure that she's not just one of these influencers who,
right.
And her whole entire family benefited from Kanye.
Look at how
he's richer than all of them put together.
Black.
Hold on.
Yeah.
He's richer than all of them put together. He actually does something. He's not famous for being in a sex tape and being a family that was proximus to the legal team of O.J. Simpson.
Sheesh.
You know?
And he's the crazy
And
one.
having a father who was friends with O.J. Simpson. You know?
Dude, it's crazy. Like,
So you know, like when you look at what's happening with Kanye, they're infecting the world with it. They're showing us this divorce and showing us how Kim can divorce Kanye, so that even your girlfriend looks at you just because she told you about the dishes. And you didn't do the dishes, and she's like, you know what?
It's the second day.
Even if I've got 4 kids, I'ma leave this man. And she doesn't even have kids. But she doesn't know how that thought came into her mind. She doesn't know how that thought came into her mind.
That's the power of media, right?
That's the power of the, like you were saying, just pushing this narrative.
And who's the number one thing on Instagram? Kim Kardashian. So who's the biggest brainwasher, the biggest influence on Kim Kardashian on Instagram?
It's crazy if you think about it. It's just we need to think. We need to actually think and look at these things.
And then you wonder why Kanye posts all the text messages and all the tweets, because he's worried that any engagement gets twisted onto TMZ in a way in which he didn't do. So rather, let me send everybody the evidence
This is what's going on.
of the text so that they can't call me crazy.
Sheesh.
And why is Kim saying, why do you post everything? I have to protect myself because anything I say to you,
crazy.
you twist it and change it and then call me crazy and say I'm off my meds and I'm having an episode.
Dude, that's when you realize, like, dude, money doesn't make you immune to, like, drama.
You understand? So, yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't. Money, success, any of those things, It doesn't make you immune to any of those things. So now, basically, you are being gaslit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because you've got certain convictions, certain beliefs. You're being gaslit in your own home.
Yeah.
Right? Now, there's an entire political agenda, like a whole entire political party.
Yeah.
Like the Democrats that are now spreading a media narrative that you are running in an election, right? Just to minimize their votes. So that the Republicans can win. You're in cahoots with Donald Trump. So now you've got the entire political machinery coming at your home, trying to break up your home. Because that's how it works in politics.
Yeah.
To make sure that you can never run for president, let's make sure that you've got a divorce. Because as a divorcee, you can't run for president. I mean, even Trump had his wife.
You're not immune, bro. It's like,
is there such a thing as a divorcee president?
sure.
I mean, even with Monica Lewinsky, Bill Clinton and Hillary still stay together. Even to this day, they might be in different rooms.
Yeah.
Did you look at how Bill Clinton looked at Ariana Grande when she performed at Aretha Franklin's funeral? Did you see that man? That is a look of a man who is not going home to a wife. Because any man who's going home to a wife is not going to be caught on camera looking at Ariana Grande like, hey.
Like, this is a snack.
She could be my intern. An intern.
Dress.
No, but you're right. It's scary just how we're being brainwashed.
She could intern at the Clinton Foundation.
And that family has its own things like.
But I'm just saying, just look at who is coming for you. So they're targeting your family. The media is now, you're the guy who ran with Trump, right?
And they come after
now
you.
you're trying to walk back this running with Trump thing.
Bro,
well, it's because
crazy.
Biden is it's the best time right now because everyone's like, okay, yeah, well, we were sold a doozy with Biden. Yes, he's got Kamala Harris out there, but I mean, Kamala put...
the last time we saw Kamala was inauguration.
Yeah.
Kamala is, one of the biggest contributors to, the prison
situation
industrial complex. You understand what I'm saying? So...
No, but they use these things against us as well because, why did black women support Kamala?
That's the thing.
It was not about what she stands for. She's the first black this.
And what's the most important thing about Kamala? The difference. She's got a white man.
Oh yeah, we saw that.
Yeah.
She's got a white man. You understand what I'm saying?
For the average black woman, it's just like it's a black woman in
Yeah,
there.
she's in there.
No. How?
She's not.
How?
Yeah.
She's married in our culture. She's married into a white man's family. She's gone from us.
Culturally, is fact. Like she's not a.
Like she's gone. She's on the other side. You understand? And
we just need to think, man. We need to think, about these things logically because we're being.
And then they get mad that, oh no, but Kanye, he decided to have a white woman and therefore he deserves it. He brought a white woman into one of us.
Right.
You understand?
Not the other way around. No, you're right.
And a white woman was what he needed to get on the other side with white folk.
It is a fact. Dr. Dre just jumped all the way up with M. You get your
Same
alliance
thing.
in there, you're moving.
Same thing.
That was the move.
That was the move.
Dr. Dre, right?
That's the thing. Same thing.
Dre was on the decline.
Not even-
Aftermath, his single release was nothing. You know that Dr. Dre presents the Aftermath. But in 99, he releases Eminem. What happens to his
No.
career?
It's not about Dre releasing Eminem.
Yeah.
I understand that Dre releasing Eminem. That's Jimmy Iovine, and it was always going to work. And Jimmy Iovine worked with Stevie Nicks, the person who the tin that sample comes from. Yeah. So again, that's Jimmy Iovine sampling himself. seriously for
and
Eminem.
bring in for the dark.
Lose yourself. So, but I understand what you're saying about Dr. Dre, but let's not even go there.
Yeah.
We've got Siya Kolisi right here at home in South Africa.
Oh, yes.
You understand? Tell me, would he be captain of the Springboks if... I'm not saying like, you understand? I'm not saying that if there's anything bad about it. And the amount of hate he gets on the low from black women, the amount of hate that his wife gets from black women on social media, especially. It's like, why is Siya Kolisi's wife so hated by black women? Like, that's why she does her thing, right? But she treads very carefully. You know what I mean? Sorry, Siri was telling me about the amount of hate. She even Googled it. You know? So, it's crazy. You know, you understand what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, Siya Kolisi wouldn't be up there with all these white people giving him money. You understand? Seriously, if they didn't have a vested interest, you know, in making sure that he's safe and he's up there. And that's one of us that's up there, but we can't even celebrate that. You know what I mean?
So for me, guys, I'll just bring it back to what this was about. What this was about, the submission thing, right? Like, is there anything wrong?
Look at Rachel Kolisi in submission. Look at her. Is that not a woman who submits to, like, does she do anything else? She's not trying to have a career of selling nails and eyelashes because her husband is like a Springbok now.
Right.
She's doing charity work for his foundation.
And it works.
Submission.
It works. It's a formula that works. Like, I'm just trying to address the stigma around it, because it's like, once women hear submission, they're thinking, I'm giving up all my rights. I'm giving up, you know, my own way of thinking to this guy, right? When it's it's
you're letting him be the navigator. Well, you are the one who gathers everything that we've, you know, conquered.
Because I look at it like we have different roles.
You're the organizer,
right? You know, we can't play the same number in a team. Like,
that's the whole entire thing. But they'll try and break that up. You know, you look at a guy like our late homeboy Ricky. He was trying to show us family values, his family, you know, him and his wife, they ran their business together and everything else. And the amount of hate they got.
I was just a week before the incident, it's like, who are we to pick and like, who's happy, who's not happy? Like,
look, I understand. You know what I mean? Like, you know, it happens, you know, like I'd talk to Ricky about posting certain things,
right?
You know, that you don't need that attention. In the family. Like, you don't bring that energy to the family because it affects the family. You know what I mean? In the end, like when you post like videos, you know. So for me, you know,
but that's just a sad thing. But I'm just like,
I you know, like for me, it just.
What's your perspective, bro? Like on that, like.
You know, for me, it's like in the morning of Valentine's Day. That morning, we found out that City Lights had died. So that's someone I was also close to.
Yes, the DJ, right?
You know?
Yeah.
And Ricky was also close to him and everything else. So when I saw the video of Ricky dancing,
yes,
you know, on the same day that City Lights has died, and then seeing, obviously, you know, his partner not looking too happy. Right. You know, I just thought it was odd. I was like, what did Ricky do? You know what I mean?
Behind the scenes, you're thinking.
To make her, you know, and now he's trying to cheer her up with saying, you know what I mean? So for me, it is like, damn it, you know, he made his decision.
Sheesh.
And yeah, you know, he clearly thought about it. He clearly, you know.
Bro, the thing is, it's today's Ricky, but it's been going on.
Yeah,
it's like,
how do we
but my thing is this, is that, you know, a lot of people will feel guilty, think that, there's something that people could have done. You know, I spoke to Ricky not too long ago.
Yeah.
You know, and I was speaking to him about my own issues that I was having at that point in time. Right. And I was telling him, you know, about, you know, sometimes I feel like giving up and giving everything in. Like, you know what I mean? And that's the thing. And we spoke for so long because he was trying to cheer me up. This is on, like, last time I spoke to him on the on the 3rd of February. Like on that day, I was like really having a bad day. I went to go sit with another friend of mine.
Yeah.
Like 2 of my closest friends. You know what I mean? Between him and Ricky, you know?
Yeah.
I sat with him. I told him I was going through the most and everything else. When I got home, called Ricky.
Yeah.
Spoke to Ricky. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
Airtime ran out. He called me back.
Yeah.
Spoke to him. Battery died. Because now I'm calling him back and then
yes,
and he's not calling me back.
Yeah.
He FaceTimes me back.
No, you guys were really talking. Like, definitely, like a deep convo, right?
You understand?
Yeah.
And we're talking about a whole lot of things, the issues that we're facing, you know, how everything is all on us and like, you know, just from like a home front, you know, there's certain things that obviously like, you know, that I shared with him that, you know, I wouldn't share.
Right.
But just relating.
Yes. Which is important.
You know?
Yeah.
And we're relating and it's like, you know, it's tough. You know what I mean? It's tough,
man. The
it's
weight
like,
that comes with...
You've got the weight of the world on your shoulder. You're supposed to be this perfect exemplary man. You're supposed to, you know what I mean? You're supposed to go out there. Like, no one even cares that, you know...
Who's checking on you like that? You know?
Like, and also like survivor's guilt. Like we've just been through like a pandemic and, you know, and we made it out and, you know.
I think Loyiso put a tweet around that. Just like from an artist perspective, like enough artists were losing like income. Like,
that's fine. That's fine. A lot lost, yes.
Yeah.
But some of us did not, some of us made it out.
Right, yeah.
And there's survivor's guilt
that we
of
actually...
like, I made it out, yet everybody else is fucked up. The game is fucked up, bro. That's the conversations we used to be having, me and Ricky, all the time. Like, yo, guys are suffering. Dog, don't see what you're seeing on the thing. The game is really fucked up. And I was like, yo, we just need to hold on, dog. If we can hold on just hold on. You know what I mean? Like, I remember like Ricky thinking about, yo, I want to set a date for Thingamajig. What do you think? Should I go for it? I said, yo, bro, set your date, cake, set up. And next year everything's gonna be open. Cyril's gonna open. And this is like maybe like in October last year or something. Okay. And he's worried about Omicron, and I was like, no. I was like, bro, don't worry about it. Like, yo, set everything up. By that time, everything's gonna be open. You're gonna be the first one out the gate. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So those are the things I know. Cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That last conversation he started with like, hey, I didn't get back to you about settling on the date, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, how? It's fine. I see the announcement you did. You ended up doing it. It's like it's happening, and like, you know.
Yeah.
We spoke about that very briefly, because, you know, obviously he was doing it with YFM, and I was asking him like, bro, why are you doing it with YFM? Why don't you go and promote your gig on Podcast and Chill with MacG? You know, ever since he lost that I'm Still gig that he was, you know, it would be nice. It would be a nice look.
For sure.
And either way, he was gonna sell out. You know what I mean? So like, you know, you don't need YFM, you know. And like, he was like, yo, man, you can't even have them on the lineup because YFM will trip. You know what I mean? So I was like, hey, okay. You know what I mean? So we left that subject
right
there. I was like, okay, let me not even get into that. And then we just discussed like personal matters. We discussed it, so like it was just after Patrick Shai's funeral and memorial. You know?
Sheesh, even that as well.
And we're just talking about that, and like, you know, like I was like, the thing that kills a lot of guys, the same thing that killed pros, same thing that killed Jabba. You know, we spoke at length about, you know, the fact that you get yourself to this certain point, and then you hit the ceiling in terms of like what you call
trajectory, in terms of
in terms of like you get to a certain ceiling in terms of like your career plateaus, you know, at a certain level within this industry, because, you know, what we do is that we respect the old athletes, but we don't respect the old musicians. And we don't understand that athletes, they've got a whole entire federation, associations, they got leagues, they got a system and everything else. You know, they've got an infrastructure. But artists, for you to make it and be a great artist, you know, you have to like hustle. You know what I mean? Yeah, there's no institution that's gonna make you, you know, a star. Even if you sign with the biggest reggae company, they can't make people love your songs. You know what I mean? So, you know,
the pressures of all of that,
like just to make it, and no one respects the artists that make it. So those who've made it, like the old hip hop legends and everything else, it was like, was it worth it in the end? Because when Ricky was saying, I don't want to be in my E at 43 or whatever, like he doesn't want to be like where my E is. Yeah. After all the great things that my E has done, people don't look at him like he's a legend.
He's also not given his flowers. Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Like, he's been in the game.
And that's what people don't, I think that's what the general public doesn't even know that artists go through, right? Like, yes, you're there.
But you go through it as black men. Because as white men, like there's institutions that support them. Look at all the white ex-cricketers. Look at all the white ex-rugby players.
Of course.
They become CEOs, brand ambassadors. They go up the corporate ladder. You know what I mean? The Graham Smiths of this world and all that stuff. What happens to the black legends, the black stars?
Why don't we have why don't we have a federation, like you said, for like artists? Where there's like,
because that's the thing, is that it's too competitive. It's like you can't have collective bargaining when it's every man for himself.
Sheesh. Because dude, like our legends, right? Like you're saying in football, whatever.
The system is designed to be every man for himself. Each artist earns what they earn.
And that's it, yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? It's like, you know, it's not like you get to a certain tier, you get to a certain level and
yeah.
You know?
Geez, nah man, like shock. I mean it's a sad day definitely in hip hop. It's a week in hip hop and just in music in general.
It's sad.
Like
it's not even just this. It's like it can't take this for people, and especially my biggest disappointment is black women. For them to empathize with the struggle of the black man. And this thing of saying no, black men talk, but you always tell us to shut up. Anytime we talk, shut up. When we want to talk about certain issues, you're a man.
It's not your time to speak.
When we want to say, no, but maybe abortion is not the best idea. No, it's not your body. Shut up. You know what I mean? Any issue, shut up. Oh, look at that. A whole bunch of black men talking about black women's issues.
Who are you to speak? Like, no, you're right.
We can't speak about our own issues. We can't speak about anything. We've been shut up. Our voices have been shut up. Black men don't have a voice. And society is shutting up our voice. And then the hypocrisy is that, oh no, but black men don't speak. And when we speak, you're shutting us up.
We need to do better. I think fundamentally, we need to do better, yeah.
It's like, seriously, it's like black women have taken up all the oxygen for victimhood. It's
only Nota can say that.
No, seriously. It's like we're all writhing in our post-traumatic stress, in our victimhood, all of us as black people. And black women are saying, we're the only ones that deserve a life jacket. Women and children only.
Right, and it's being manufactured.
And we're all on this sinking ship. So as black men who've never enjoyed anything, who've never had any power, you know what I mean? We must sink with the ship. We must go down with the ship, but we're not the captain of the ship.
Sheesh. Food for thought, definitely. You know, I think we couldn't have said it any better.
Like for real, it's like, you know, we need to look at it because like as a society,
we're losing big time. Like
we don't have these real conversations.
We're losing
and it's trivialized because the only conversations we have is like, on men's vulnerability when it comes to like things like homophobia and stuff like that, you know what I mean? And it's like, no, that's not the case. You know what I mean? And like, yes, there's certain things that are homophobic.
Yes.
It's like, as men,
of course.
Like, number one, we are compassionate. Guys, we slap each other on the asses all the time. any suggestion that as men, if you touch each other's bums and everything else, we are seen as gay or whatever, or we should be uncomfortable, is homophobic. Because we're not like that.
Yeah, that's not true. Yeah.
You can spank your boy on the bum and he doesn't take anything personal from that. You know what I mean? Like as guys, we do that all the time. You know what I mean? Like, and it doesn't mean that, oh, now you think your homie is like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We tell each other, yo, I love you, bro. You know what I mean?
And then someone will be like, just stop being weird.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's people who observe this. So now when you play at it, when you use that, we don't need to be having such conversations. Not even on public platforms. Because then you draw yourself into a place where now you're not even like honoring your friends anymore. You're now creating a controversy.
Because you're just afraid to be cancelled. Cancel culture.
It's not even that you're afraid to be cancelled. You're trying to be funny. And you're not funny. You understand what I'm saying? Like, for me, like, there's nothing worse than, obviously what I saw. I didn't even comment on it on social media, but like, when I saw that whole entire controversy that was happening between, Mohale and Nyovest, and I'm like, why do you have to be homophobic though? No, why does he have to mention that he's uncomfortable with men? Like, why? Like, out of all the things you can say about Ricky, out of all the profound things you could say that he was the only one that didn't make you uncomfortable when he comes behind you.
I think we need PR for some of these people.
It's not even about PR. It's like the last interview you did, you said you'll never speak to the man again. Deal with that guilt. The person who could have stopped the cyberbullying that pushed Patrick Shire over the edge is Cassper.
Oof.
He could have stopped it. He could have called off his fans immediately when that video came out. He could have made it's a joke. Ha ha ha. We all laugh.
Right.
Diffuse the situation. But what did he do? He chose to play victim. I spent an hour on the phone discussing this very issue with Ricky.
The Patrick Shire thing as well, or just
amongst that. You understand what I'm saying? So then I'm like, this is exactly what I was discussing with Ricky before he passed. And now I'm watching this guy doing these exact antics. And the thing is that the reason why our discussion went there, I was like, because obviously I was having a spat with Cassper on the timeline before. Yeah. Because I was baiting him into showing him that this whole thing of being flashy, flashing cars and everything else, there's always going to be someone who's got more money than you. You understand? And you're not teaching kids. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. That's what we were talking about, is that led to Patrick Shire. Because for me, I was like, the worst thing about Patrick Shire's passing is that he passed the day after I said, okay, this is my last tweet. I'm off of social media now. He passed the day after. You understand what I'm saying? So I was like, I don't even want to go back to send an RIP and everything else. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, because of my little spat with Cassper, whatever, you know what I mean? I posted up, I said, yo, you don't have a rainy day fund. You don't have money for a rainy day. And yet you're flossing about buying cars and buying Rolexes and it's your...
That is...
No, but that's the truth, because you're doing that to make other artists feel inadequate, because it's like, 2 years into a pandemic, this guy is buying McLarens, he's doing all these things. And he's not, you know what I mean? And that's the thing. Is that for me, I was bursting his bubble. I was like, you're not going to use your brand and your endorsements and everything else to make other artists feel inadequate and feel like, they should be even more depressed after losing out so much this year, so that you can make them feel like, you are still over and above them. And you don't want to help new artists. You don't want to aid new artists. Because
what if he
like
says,
in the beginning, it's like, the thing about not helping artists is the insecurity of thinking that another kid is much more talented than me or could be more talented than me. So you've got that inferiority complex of knowing that, okay, I didn't get to where I am because of my talent. I got to where I am because of gimmicks and everything else. So the next talented kid, if I put him on, he could be bigger than me. And that's the conversation that we had regarding Nasty C, when Nasty C was coming up, and I was saying, yo, Cassper, from everyone in the hip hop game, you're the guy who could co-sign this kid, help him out through your family tree, you know what I mean, and everything else. And he was like, nah, I don't, because this guy is obviously better than me. So, you know, he's going to surpass me within my own label. You know what I mean? No, but that was like an honest conversation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And obviously it's true. But it's like, either way, he's going to surpass you, whether or not.
You might as well.
You know what I mean? You might as well co-sign him and not let him fall into the trappings of Mabala noise, which then gives him all these big advances, which then makes him, you know, a slave to the label and owe them. I mean, like, even now, he's even committed like an advertising standards authority violation. He's on the Johnny Walker campaign. He's not yet 25. He turns 25 on the 28th of February. They need the money. They need the money. That's how much they spent on him. That's how much he's advanced. They need the money. So any deal they can get, they've got him on a 360. Like, you're too young for this deal, it's fine. We'll do it. You'll turn 25 next year or whatever. But the campaign started last year. We saw it. You understand?
It's crazy. People don't know these things.
It's that's the level of desperation that people have to go through. Because why? Because within our own hip-hop community, we weren't able to groom the younger generation and help them and give them a platform that is safe, that protects them from the vultures. That will get... But because basically what they're doing to these kids is that they'll throw you like enough rope to hang yourself. A big advance that you'll never pay off. You'll be owing them albums forever. You drop a mixtape, they say, no, that's the mixtape, doesn't count as an album, but even though they're earning money off of it.
But they're already, streams and all that.
They're chowing. You know?
Bro, interesting stuff going on behind the scenes.
So like that's the whole entire thing. So like, you know, it's just typical of Cassper to anything that happens. It needs to be made about himself.
Because he says he's inspiring, right? Like he's showing
inspiring
you
what?
like you can do it.
No, he's not. He's not inspiring.
Right.
He's not inspiring because when you know the truth of how to get there, when you know that he's not doing it for real, you know what I mean? He's faking it till you make it. That's what he says. He said, you understand? So now you're not inspiring with faking it because that's not the truth. Rather show kids the truth. Then you're saying you're inspiring them. Show them the difficulty. Show them, you know what I mean? Don't show them like, you know.
Only the good times.
That's it. You know what I mean? So that you look like you're winning and, you know what I mean? Just so that you look like to your rivals you're winning. And that's the whole entire thing is that, you know, that's the whole entire fake life.
But that's what I was asking Nota, and I was saying, like, don't you think there's more responsibility to people that are in those positions to show people what it is? Like,
that's what Ricky was doing. You guys didn't listen to him.
Different.
You guys didn't listen to him. He had to kill himself for you guys to listen.
He was in the trenches. He was on the ground.
Ricky been telling you since Family Values. Since y'all listened to that album and danced and didn't hear the message. And he's telling you, yo, it's about family. It's about family values.
That's why it makes it sad, bro. Like, it's just like...
It's like he had to go for the message to
just kind of sink in, hopefully.
And everybody thought that they were entitled to something from him. Everybody wanted him to do something for them. Everybody wanted him to change their lives.
Sure. That's a lot of pressure.
Everybody that encounters you, yo, change my life, do something for me, do this for me. Nobody did anything for him while he was still here.
Huh?
They didn't honor him. The same Cassper in Nyovest who's talking about how, Ricky was the only dude I was comfortable for. It took this for you to honor him. You couldn't even honor him.
But when I heard, that's the first thing I thought about. I was like, ooh.
You know, at the end of the day, you know, at his time of need, you went there for him. And what happened? It went back home. Because if we do business and our business doesn't work out right, my family depends on that. And you being a bad friend. And now I need to explain to my wife why our kids' school fees can't be paid because I spent the money helping out a friend, or things like that. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So now the problem, we might have beef and we might not be speaking.
Yeah.
But I don't have beef at home with my wife, but now I do.
Hey, and when it gets to the family, bro, like, different.
All these things. And the family is just thinking about how many of these people just take advantage of our loved one. He allows everybody to take advantage of him. He allows everybody. That's why he allows everybody to take advantage of him. Why doesn't he say no?
Eesh.
You know what I mean? And they don't understand that if you say no, some of the blessings that you get, you feel like God might deny you. Who are you? Because you know that you got here. It's luck.
Luck to get, like, it wasn't an easy.
We're lucky to make it. You know what I mean? Because all the guys that make it know each other personally.
Yeah. There's a bigger pool, but it's only a few that.
All the guys that make it know each other personally.
Sure.
Understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, that's
yeah.
it. It's, you know.
No, I just hope we learn from this.
It's
honestly,
so it's like, you know,
it's sad we had to learn this way, but it's just like we can do better. If you're still alive, do better.
For me, it's like the culture war needs to end, man. Black women, give us a break. Get your foot off our necks.
Like, we're here to work together.
No, seriously, like black women know. They need to be told. Like now, they need to be told. Like, get your foot off our necks. You understand? Deal with the individuals that are doing wrong.
Right.
You know, because statistically, we are armed with statistics that are telling us that no.
Let's deal with the issue. Don't take
men are dying at a worse rate. Yeah, I understand. Deal with the issue, not the gender. If there's a problematic man, we've now got means for you guys to expose him, and we've got social recourse as well as legal recourse. We've established that. Okay, we've given you that. We've made that concession.
Let's use that.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. Because it's a gender thing now, which distorts the whole thing. You know what I mean?
Exactly. That's the whole entire. Now it's a gender war because, you know, there are isolated cases where men are beating up their girlfriends or anything else. You know, like in the complex that I've said, I've never heard a woman screaming because she's being beaten up by her boyfriend. I'm just saying. I hear people all the time. I hear them when they're having conversations. So if there was a woman screaming or whatever, I don't even hear any arguments. And that's the thing. We stay in complexes these days. So like,
you know,
hold on. You can't even argue with your partner
because as soon as
you can't. So what do you do? So you don't even have that conversation.
Don't you dare.
You don't even have that conversation. You just, what do? You just see a man. It's 2 a.m. in the morning. Why is that guy driving? Why is my neighbor starting his car 2 a.m. and driving?
That's how you pick it up nowadays.
He needs petrol.
Nah, you're right. We need to do better. I think we're all in alignment that it's not we don't condone violence, gender-based violence. We don't condone inequality.
No.
We don't.
We have in this whole entire, we have not bashed women in any way.
Right.
We have not said anything that is bashful. We are just men.
Just talking
about issues that affect men.
Right.
All we're saying of women is, please get your feet off our neck. Like,
let's
stop
have the
pinning us.
Yes.
Yeah. Stop pinning us to the point where we don't even have a voice in society anymore. Because at the end of the day, that is what is causing more deaths than COVID. You understand?
Sure. Well said.
And at the end of the day, you guys have got black sons. You got black fathers. Your kids, when you have kids, their sons will be black. Are you trying to bear sons into a world where they feel inadequate and end up killing themselves? Because the entire world is against them. Because that's the curse of being a black man. You understand? You never get the power that the white man has. You know what I mean? You're repressed by his violence. And then you've got all the expectation to provide. Like he's able to provide and he only provides for white women. And therefore, black women are denied a provider completely if they select amongst black men.
No, we need to start.
And therefore, what does that do? That causes greater violence to the black man because what is he being? He's being excluded from, from reproduction.
That's all.
Because you understand, like I say this, it's like a small example. I give a small example. I sit at a restaurant. There was some guys who were doing construction work.
Yeah.
I'm sitting with my friend at a restaurant. I was like, if we were sitting with women here at this restaurant, those men could be using a jackhammer,
right,
making loud noise, but they wouldn't exist. Because to these women, unless you look like you've got, I said, one of those men that is using a jackhammer could be the greatest violinist in the world. You understand? He's using a jackhammer, but he could be the greatest, most talented violinist. A woman would not even know or get to the level of understanding the potential of this man. You know what I mean? Because we have been brought down to our economic value. It's not even face value, it's economic value. It's the first thing that they see. They see what car do you drive, where do you stay, all these things. These are the things that the women's standards break you down on. So we need to live up to certain economic standards, otherwise we're removed from mating. What type of girls is your 21-year-old brother getting? None. Why?
What is he aspiring
because
to?
Those girls, you understand? He's not getting any girls because why? The girls that that are in his age group that he should learn about dating and relationships with are busy with 40-year-old men who've got cars and everything else. Because women, right? And they don't see their role in how they program younger women. Because they've programmed their young girls that as soon as you're at this certain age, you can use your body to get money. You could like that.
But nobody wants to have that conversation.
Women are not having that conversation. That they are the ones who are accepting that culture and creating that culture. You know what I mean? They're sending their daughters off as lambs for the slaughter.
I'm gonna tell you a wild tale. Francis, the homie, he said to me, "Look, I sit in the gym, and I get the same look from." He was 40 at the time. From a 50-year-old woman and from a 20-year-old woman. He's like, I'm looking at them and they can see because they'd see their fancy car that would drive, it would roll up, and so he's quite known. And so it feeds to something that you're saying.
That's it.
Economically, it's like there's a 30-year difference between the women that were showing him attention.
He's got a 30-year age range. So what does that do? It denies the young man who's between the ages of 15 and 25, the ages where men are their most risk-taking, the most violent, the most propensity to die, you understand? And die in the cause of trying to impress a woman so that they can secure a mate and secure their genetic lineage. Because that is actually what they're taking all these risks for, is to prove themselves worthy of mating and reproducing.
Facts.
You understand? So
that's the way men think.
So within that age group, they get nothing. The 15 to 25-year-old man, he's taken out of the dating pool. Especially if he's a black man. Because if he's a black man, it's even worse. The hypergamy is even worse. The hypergamy is even worse if he's a black man.
No, it is.
You understand? So it's worse. So like with white kids, at least they can date and everything else. And for them, they've still got a society where
and it's very clear. Look at what our situations are like. In
varsity.
You understand? So, but black girls
is different.
All of them, like they in adversity, the black girls are all single. Why? Because they've all got like multiple blessings. They're not dating the guys that are there.
They're not dating
the guys that are there. They're being taken out. There's someone who's picking them up all
that's
the time.
The picture they have
that's
now.
The mentality. That's it. That's how they're trained. Okay, if I'm pretty, I can get next to a nice guy. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter if my personality stinks. Doesn't matter if I don't have qualifications and everything else. And then I use my beauty until I can get myself pregnant and then get, hopefully, child support at a certain age. And that's what's happening. We watched it happen with black Americans, African Americans. We watched it happen.
And that's the culture we emulate so much.
And now we're seeing it happening on our shores. You understand? And what is being sold? The black woman's body. And that's what you see when you go into your discovery button on Instagram. You see an entire catalog of them. You can't even choose. The algorithm is lining them up in exactly your taste.
It's crazy.
You understand? In exactly your taste, the algorithm is lining them up, and there's so many options.
You like.
There's so many options.
Oh yeah, that's a whole thing.
You understand what I'm saying? I'm just saying there's so many options. There's so many options. Like it's an endless scroll of young girls. And besides, they're on a production line as well.
Sure.
So you got these 17 to 24-year-old girls are just being served up to you. You know, some of them work for Fashion Nova, they sell some clothes, but most of them are just serving their body. That's it. And they're still at the young age where they need to, and they're being taken out of having proper, meaningful relationships.
I mean, sure.
And so are the young men at that age.
Oh, yeah. Because now we emulate that we need to need money to.
That's what you strive for.
And that's it. And those young men without any money, you understand, they're taken out of, and what happens? The male suicide rates. You understand what I'm saying? Because what? He's not able to reproduce. The thing that he's on this earth for. I can't live out my function.
Shit.
And therefore, I'm malfunctioning. They found my homie hanging in his office, in his studio, at his workplace. You understand? Because that's the only place he could be alone to do something like that. You understand? Everything else was dependent on him.
Bro, nicely said. Like, Nota, thanks so much, bro. Like,
thanks for pulling up, man.
Thanks for pulling up, bro. Like,
yeah,
these are the things that we don't talk about, bro. Like,
these need to be addressed, yeah?
The perspective.